Hey there everybody, Boyd here with you again. Well, the old filament printer here, our ANYCUBIC Viper, has been doing a really great job printing out all the big hull pieces for the Nautilus model that I'm working on, and it's really been a great experience, I have to say, working with this thing, you guys. We've got off to a good start here. Really big shout out and thanks to a couple of my really close friends out there who have been sitting with me, spending time evenings on Zoom chat sessions, helping me get this machine set up and get it going in the right direction. It's really made a big difference once we solved the initial problems that the machine itself had. Everything's been going really smooth. I'm really happy with the process, and there's going to be more parts of that big Nautilus model, the bigger, detail parts that I'm going to be printing on this machine. But I kind of knew going in all along that going forward with this printing that I eventually was going to want to go with a resin machine too, because the resin machines are much more capable of printing the small little fine detail parts, and we have a ton of those with the Nautilus model. So I decided to jump in with both feet, you guys, and we've got our brand new resin printer over here. I decided to go with the ANYCUBIC Photon M3 Premium, I think it's called, and this is kind of one of their newest 8K printers, and I figured I might as well get something that's up to date right off the bat and not be way behind right away. And these machines are becoming more and more user-friendly, and I really had a great experience with the ANYCUBIC Viper, so I decided to stay with this brand. I really like the way they look too. I like the orange domes that they have, and then I decided to get their matching wash and cure station. I think this is one of their newest ones as well, but just in case you guys are interested, they have a sale going on right now for I think the next week or so. Pretty good deal, if you buy a combo like this and you get free shipping direct from ANYCUBIC. You can find them on eBay, and you can find them around a couple different places, but I'm not advertising for them or anything, but just saying that I had a really good experience so far with their stuff, and a couple of my friends are actually using them, so it really helped out that I'm using the same kind of machine and everything. But this is a really cool system. You can see we got a couple parts in here printing right now, and I think we've got a total of about 9 hours in, and it's showing here on the thing it's got about an hour left. So we're getting ready to pull this out pretty soon. So I'm going to set the camera up and kind of show you guys that are following this, that are on the fence about 3D printing, about whether you want to try it out or not, and just kind of show you the different process that we use here for resin printing versus the filament printing that I took you through in the last video. And don't get me wrong, you guys, by no means I'm no expert here at all. I'm just a very newbie beginner. People are already asking me to print models and stuff for them, and I may look at something like that in the future, but right now I need to learn this myself. I wouldn't even think about signing up for something like that. But anyway, we'll be pulling the parts out of here. There's a whole different thing you have to do to make the parts ready. We have to take the parts out of the machine here and take them over to this wash station and wash them off. Resin is a highly toxic material, and we need to clean them. Then we need to cure them using some UV ultraviolet light, which this machine does both of those things. You can see I decided to experiment with different kinds of resin here to begin with too. I started off with using their water washable resin. I shouldn't say water-based, water washable resin. It's kind of a new product, and people are really liking it. They said it has a, less of an odor, it's less toxic, and you can use regular water in your wash system here to clean the parts. So I've printed off one part here already. I'll show you that really quick. This is the pipe organ that's on the Nautilus, Nemo's famous organ there, and I'm really amazed and blown away by the detail on this, right down to the microscopically small little rivets and the script work on the organ pipes there up on the top. I mean, it came out super smooth. Any little imperfections that you see in it are probably from my paint work and more than the print itself. The print was absolutely pristine once I broke off all the supports. And one thing I noticed about the resin printing too is that the supports are a lot more easy to get rid of than they are on the plastic type filament printers. So, but that all worked out really good. I'm really happy with that. But we're getting ready to pull these parts here. I decided to print these parts next and show them to you guys, because there's some going to be some precision going on here, hopefully. These are some moving parts that are on the ship that have to click together and work that way. So hopefully we're going to show the beauty of resin printing like I talked about last time. Well, 3D printing overall, I should say, where the propeller on our Nautilus came out really perfect. So hopefully this resin printer does the same type of job where everything fits really good, and you know, you're getting perfect geometrical shapes the way they were designed in the computer CAD system when they were created. So it's different than molded parts or the old resin kits, you know, the old garage kits that somebody basically made those molds by hand. You're getting, you know, accurate, really accurate parts here. So we'll just kind of put that to the test in a little bit here. Just wanted to show you the setup. But getting back to these resins, so far the water washable resin is working really good. You can see it to the right there. I bought a bottle of the clear. This is supposed to be some really good stuff. I'm going to be using this to do the window glass on the Nautilus, like I talked about, and then we're going to see if we, you know, how nice they print straight up. This new 8K machine should do a really good job, not putting too many lines in it, and if any at all. And then maybe we can just do a little bit of polishing on the resin after that, and see if we can get it to look, you know, pretty close to being glass. I'm trying to get that so you can really see inside the, you know, to the detail of the salon and everything really good. We'll just see what happens. If I can't get it good enough with the resin, we'll probably use those parts for bucks and we'll mold. My friend Jerry at HDA Model Works has a vacuum form machine, so we may take a look at doing them that way. But we'll just see what happens here. And then I've got some of their regular resin that they've had around for a long time. The difference with that is that you have to clean that with isopropyl alcohol, and that's kind of expensive. And you can see we've got a large wash tub here. Hopefully the regular water washable resin works out, and I'll be using that going forward, because you can just use regular tap water. I did get a little tip that people are putting a couple of drops of Dawn dishwashing detergent in there with that mix, and they're saying not to use too much where it turns sudsy or whatever and gets all foamy when you bring the parts out. So I just put a couple drops in there and turned the machine on and let it stir a little bit, and it didn't look like it was creating too much of a foam at all. So I think we should be pretty good. So we'll see how this works out in just a couple seconds, you guys. But yeah, this whole thing is really inspired me. You can see my big toolbox over here. That has sat in this corner for probably over 25 years. You can actually see it in some of my old videos that I had talking about some of my car stuff I used to do here in the garage. And there was quite a pile of leaves and cobwebs and everything behind it when I cleaned out. It really surprised me how bad it was. But this whole thing has been kind of making me get off my duff and get updated and up to speed, and kind of reinvigorated me, and it's just really exciting. I'm really into this kind of tech stuff anyway, so this will be right up my alley. And you know, I had a couple people already ask about, you know, are we going to be getting heavy into 3D printing and not doing any more modeling? That'll never happen here, you guys. I'm modeling first, and the 3D printers are just another tool in the process to me, you guys, where, you know, there's people out there that's all they do is print. And but you know, to me, the parts, even after they come out of being printed, like I mentioned in the last video, you still need to have modeling skills to clean those up and paint them and you know, assemble them and make them fit. You're still going to be doing the old-fashioned, you know, sanding and deburring, and maybe even fixing parts once in a while that didn't come out perfect, instead of throwing them in the trash and printing it again. You know, because you do have a lot of time involved. Like I said, these little parts right here, when you see them, aren't even very big, but it still took like 9 hours. And this is one of the faster printers that's out there now, so this is time consuming. And again, thanks to a couple of my really close friends out there that have sat and done these Zoom sessions with me and helped me out a lot. They got me all kind of dialed in with this machine too. But there are profiles that you can find, that you can download, that people post in the community and stuff like that, that are turning out good prints, and that'll kind of set you up in the ballpark. And then they have profiles for all the different kind of resins, kind of presets, that the machine will kind of know that, you know, what to do with that kind of resin and everything. So I entered in all the resin that I'm using, and right now I'm set on the you know, the water washable stuff, and it seems to be doing a really good job with it. So again, becoming more and more user friendly, you guys. And those of you out there who are on the fence about, you know, jumping into this is why I made these videos for you guys, because I was in the exact same position. I waited a long time. I didn't know anything about it, and I always assumed all the, you know, the slicing hardware or software and all that was really difficult to work with, but I guess they've made that a lot more user friendly. I didn't find it too bad at all, especially with somebody helping me out and walking me through it. But there are plenty of videos out there online or on YouTube and other places you can check that out too. All right, so okay guys, I'll pause here, and when we come back we'll set the camera on the tripod, and I'm going to walk you through the process of getting these parts out of the printer, kind of a, you know, real world thing, and we'll see how clumsy I am. And you know, this is just going to take a while to get used to it, but you'll get your little system down and you'll be doing it better and better and better. Mainly it's about like not breaking the parts because they're really delicate when you're getting them off the print bed, and then not splashing your, you know, toxic resin all over the place and trying to be clean. We're definitely going to wear a respirator mask and some gloves. That's one thing I want to point out, guys. You know, don't assume that because it doesn't bother you right away that it's not hurting you in the long term. You want to observe safety around this stuff at all times, you know. That's one of the things I forgot I wanted to mention too on this new machine. If you can kind of see it here in the background, those two white square objects in the background are air purifier cartridges, and they have a carbon filament on the inside, and they're advertised as being you know, quite a bit more effective about getting rid of the odor and the fumes from these resin printers. And I gotta say, I'm sitting here right next to it on my workstation here, and when I have the air conditioning or the fan on it, you know, the air is going past me. It's over in the corner over there, so it's sucking it past me. I haven't smelled a single odor from this thing at all when it's running. So you know, the water washable resin, they say, is less smelly than the other stuff, but the only time I can smell it's when I take the lid off and I'm gonna, you know, take a part off of the and I can smell the vat in there, and I can smell the print head, but it's not overpoweringly strong or anything. But I'm still wearing a mask and I'm still wearing gloves, you guys, so just kind of, you know, observe safety at all times. I don't want to be an advocate for being careless or sloppy or whatever, because I think it doesn't bother me. I've been around paint and everything my whole life, and I've always kind of been back and forth on that, especially when I was younger. But the older I get, I'm much more aware of, you know, wearing masks and things like that. But just kind of pointing that out. All right, we'll be back in just a second and show you how this whole thing comes out of the print machine and over to the wash and cure station, guys. Be right back. Okay, so we're down to the moment of truth here, everybody. We got about a minute left here before the print's done. You can see I've got my gloves on. I might sound a little bit muffled because I'm wearing a mask, but we're all set up and ready to go. I've got everything kind of set up here. Got the wash and cure station ready. We're going to be basically taking the print head off of the machine here, bringing it over to this area right here, and then we're going to use this little scraping tool right here to break the parts free from the print head, and then we're going to drop them on our little basket here and drop them into the wash machine. So we'll take you through that whole step. Always pretty exciting to see the parts when they first come out after you've waited so long. This has been a little over 10 hours for this. Looking in there at it, it looks like it looks pretty good. I can see a bunch of rivets on the main part there. Should be getting ready to pull it completely up out of the vat. Shows 0 on the indicator here. And there we go. Alright, we'll get the lid off here. Get that out of the way. Okay. Let it finish dripping just a little bit here. Always trying not to get any on the machine or anything, but as long as it's just a couple drops, that'll be easy to clean up. Alright, now I'm going to bring it over to this area here, just kind of take an eyeball look at it. Oh, these parts look fantastic, you guys. The detail is amazing. Okay, well, let's try to get them off the print bed here. Now you have this scraping tool. What you want to do, you guys, you don't want to be, you know, scraping and banging into it. You just kind of want to work your way around the edges of it and kind of feel for a soft spot. And I am having a little bit of trouble. There we go. That was rougher than I wanted it to be. Luckily I went through the supports, so I've got to look at some settings. I've already talked to a couple people about this. Um, I have to look at a couple of settings to sort of tame down my, I'm just going right through the, my initial layer here, you guys. These are sticking on here too good. Now they're available flex plates for this type of a printer, same that we have on the Viper. There's a little bit of modifying you need to do. And I may look at that later, because then you can just twist this plate and break these parts free a lot easier. Just want to be careful here. I've got some attachment pieces that I really don't want. Okay, they're underneath. There we go. That one came off pretty good. It's these smaller parts I'm having problems with, so any of you guys that are watching out there that might know what that issue is, feel free to drop a comment. I'll definitely appreciate it. So for now, I'm just going to set this off to the side. We're going to have to get these parts off of here, the islands that are left over, but now we can kind of take a look, make sure we didn't damage anything. Looks good. Okay, so now we're bringing our parts basket. Just going to drop everything in real careful here. And then we just drop this straight down into our tub. It's got a little kind of shelf that it sits on down there. Okay. Gonna get rid of some of the mess. And we can clean this up with some water and just a little bit. We got a little drip up on our machine here. We'll take care of that. Okay. Now in theory I don't need these gloves anymore. Alright. So what I'll do now, you guys, is I'll move the camera a little closer and get you a nice view, and we're going to show you how the wash and cure machine works. Be right back with that. So the parts are in the bucket now, guys, all the way down to the bottom, and we're ready to go. You don't need a whole lot of time to wash these parts. Now I'll point out that this machine has a really cool feature. What it does is every 2 minutes it changes direction, so it creates a really pretty strong vortex in here. It'll gradually speed up to do that, and then it'll gradually slow down before it changes direction. It ramps up the same way. That way it doesn't slam your parts all over the place, you know, radically. So we got our little selector switch here. We can go from cure to wash. We want to make sure we're on wash. Then we just turn up our dial here to our desired time. I'm going to go for 8 minutes, you guys. And I'm just going to push the button. And you'll hear it slowly ramp up, and you'll start to see the water moving. Creates a pretty strong little vortex in there. Just going to take you through the up to the part where it changes direction here. So at 6 minutes in, it should slow down and change direction for us. I can see the water getting a little bit more murkier, so it's definitely doing its job. One thing that I'll point out about this, you guys, is that talking about all of the issues with 3D printing, now there is the issue of what do you do to dispose of all this material. So like our wash water here, you absolutely cannot just dump this down your drain in your house. So what you need to do is you need to figure out a way to let this air dry and evaporate once you're through with it. And you probably want to avoid letting it get really, really nasty before you do that. So I kind of looked around and was thinking about it. One of the important things is if you're going to set it outside to dry, you want to make sure you keep it away from some animals that might get to it or whatever, or birds. So I remembered that we have these old fish buckets, and that's what popped in my mind. They have a trap door on the top with a vented so air can get in there. You can put water in there, and they usually have a handle on them. So I ordered one of those, and I put a hook on one of the pillars on my patio in the back of the house. And so I'll hang it up there and the sun can get at it, and it takes about 2 days, and I had about a half full bucket and it evaporated. So that's the way I'll be disposing of it. That's the way most people are doing it. You definitely can't dump it down the drain. As far as your resin goes, if you're not going to switch resins, most people are just leaving the resin in the vat, and when it gets a little bit low they are adding more. But if you do get to a point where it gets down to just a little bit left in your vat, what you want to do with that is put it in a little container and then UV cure it so it turns hard, and then it's safe to throw away. You don't want to just dump it down the drain in its liquid form. That's really toxic stuff. And so those are the kind of things that I just wanted to talk about a little bit too, so you get the full scope of everything that's involved with this. It's not just tossing the water out the window or whatever when you're done. Same thing with the isopropyl alcohol. If you use that version, you'll let that evaporate. It may leave a little bit of residue down on the bottom of your barrel or your tub here, and you can gather that up, wear some gloves, gather it up, put it in a small container and cure it with some UV to where it turns solid, and you can throw that away. Okay, we're going to change direction again here. Really like how it does that. So yeah, I can just tell by looking at the water, we're not getting too many suds, and it definitely turned a little bit whiter looking, so it's definitely washing the parts. As we'll get ready to take these out. Put a paper towel down here and ready to go. Now the next step we're going to be doing after that, you guys, is we're going to take a little bit of shop air and gently blow these off. You don't want to blow very hard at all though at them, because these are very, very delicate pieces. So we'll just blow a little bit of gentle shop air on them. They'll dry a little bit, and then we're going to switch the machine over to doing the UV cure, and that's going to be using some really powerful UV lights that are built into the lighting tower it has. So when we do that, we want to make sure that we got our other machine here all closed up with the lid back on it, because this UV light coming off of that could maybe affect our resin. I don't know, whether it will or not, but I don't want to take that chance. So we'll kind of go through those steps there. As a matter of fact, I think I'll put the lid back on the big machine right now. I'm going to have to get those little remaining pieces of the parts off of the print head and get that cleaned back up, and then I'll put that back on after a little while. So I'll let this go the last 2 minutes here. Slowing down and changing directions one more time. Just getting my shop air ready here, you guys. Exit out of here. Okay. And you just kind of have to go by eye here, you guys. If I lift these up out of the, or lift the basket up out of there and see that they don't look that clean, then I'll repeat the process here, but we'll just see. We may even be washing them longer than we need to. I'm just getting used to it. I'm sure it depends on how complex the parts are and how many supports are around them and everything and how big they are and all that. This is pretty small parts. We still want to be really careful handling these too, you guys. They haven't been cured, so they're going to be a little bit soft. You'll find that different videos, some people prefer to remove the trees when they're in that state, but I'm going to do that after we cure it. I'm finding that these come off actually a lot easier than they do on the filament type printer. Almost there. Yeah, we didn't have too much suds at all. It looks pretty good. Okay, we're ready to pull the basket out now. Looks like everything survived in one piece, you guys. Just kind of letting the water drain out of everything. Again, in theory, we're safe to handle these now. We still want to keep it at a minimum, but until they're fully cured, they're still considered hot. Okay, we'll just kind of take our parts and put them down here one by one. Be really careful still at this stage. Little delicate edges and stuff can get caught on these you know, on the edges of this basket, so you want to be careful. I learned that the hard way. I had a perfectly good part that I broke a little piece of it off earlier and had to reprint it. Probably could have glued it, but I decided I wanted to have a perfect part. So we'll put this back down in for now, and then we're going to take a little bit of our shop air here, you guys, and just really gently blow these off a little bit. Really careful not to overdo that and blow it across the room. Little support came off, which is good. We don't want that anyway. Okay, that should be just about enough of that. Now, this bucket can be removed at this point, you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's held on with magnets, so it's really strong. We'll get that off of there. Get this off to the side. And now we're going to be putting our rotating disc on here. They do include this cool little reflector here. It's like a little lens, a mirrored type lens. They tell you to take that off in between when you're washing and curing, but it seems to be fine just staying on there. Get this down and on. Okay, and we want to definitely, before we do anything, make sure we're switching over to cure, because if not, that'll begin to rotate really fast, just like it did, and it'll throw your parts right off. Now this machine, I guess I can take my mask off at this point too. This machine has a new cool feature to it. This light tower here now has the ability to bend over at the top and give you a little bit more light facing down at your parts too. So now all we have to do is just set them on there. I'm going to stand that one up. Just kind of place these evenly around. Try to allow a little bit of spacing in between them so the light can bounce around and get to all of them. Kind of go to that one in the middle. Now we're going to put our lid back on. This is going to emit some really powerful UV light, you guys, so okay, and same thing, we're going to figure out how long we want to do this for. So I'm going to go for 6 minutes, I think, at the beginning here, you guys. We'll check it out. Hit the start button, and away we go. get you a little bit closer here. And that's the process, you guys. Now, you have to kind of check your parts after they've been cured. Like I said, again, this, just like the wash, it depends. I found it depends like how much they're protected by the trees and the shapes, and if they're hollow, if there's got recessed areas, whether they'll cure fully in one pass like this. And then you may also want to, if they don't, you may want to rearrange the parts, you know, like we might lay this on its side and turn these over or whatever and hit it again. But you definitely don't want to go forward until you make sure that they're fully cured, you guys. That's what I was basically trying to say. It may take 1 or 2 times to do it. But just, you know, eyeballing it, it looks really good. The main part there, especially with all the rivet detail, I can already see the higher level of resolution it has over the... I actually test printed that part on the filament printer, and it looked pretty good, but this definitely looks better. There are no print lines in it at all. It's perfectly smooth besides the rivets. And what we have here, guys, is this main piece here. This is the ventral dorsal vent on the top of the Nautilus, and it's got these little vents here that go on, and they're supposed to snap in these little sockets on the top, and then they can be movable, open or shut. And so that was the precision part that I was talking about. I'm interested to see how well this is going to work once we get everything cured up here. Alright, we'll time-lapse this a little bit here, you guys, and I'll come back and show you how they look when they're going to be coming out. Okay, be right back. Back with you again, everybody, and it's just a couple seconds left to go here. What I wound up doing is I did have to rearrange the parts, and I hit it again for another 6 minutes. And we're just finally at the end here, so we'll check these again. The way I'm checking, you guys, and I'm not sure if this is right or not, but I'm just kind of pulling these down here like this and feeling the how brittle these tree supports feel, and they feel pretty brittle this time. So I think we're done, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pull all the parts out. And everything looks good. Now I have to clean up my disc a little bit, and what I'll usually do is right away I'll take and get that cleaned up and get the bucket put back in place, and that way it's all set up for the next step when I use it again, and it'll be ready to wash. But that's how that system works, you guys. Okay, what we're going to do here now is we're going to move over to the workbench, and I'll show you how to get these parts cleaned up. We're going to remove these support trees and then do a little bit of test fitting with these parts and see how it all looks. Be right back with that. So here we are set up on the bench, you guys. We've got our parts brought over now, and just wanted to show you a couple of the basic tools of the trade that I'm using to get these parts, all of our tree supports removed. Just a good old pair of sprue cutters here, a good sharp number 11 hobby knife, and also our UV flashlight in case we find that, as I mentioned, some of these parts have little nooks and crannies and stuff, and when you're working with these, I'm finding that if you feel it a little bit soft, all you have to do is just kind of hit it just for a little bit in that little area there, and that'll bring it right up. If you're having a little trouble getting a support tree to come off because it's still soft or whatever, because they should just basically snap right off really easy. Okay, so just kind of go over these just real for the heck of it here, but everything looks really good. Let's start off with this big part here first, you guys. And we can see we just got some basics on the outside. So what I'll do first is just kind of go around with my hand and see if I can get a lot of them to come off that way. And you just want to make sure you're careful. This part here isn't really that delicate, so I'm not too worried about it. But you know, if you have a delicate little part that has little extensions or little detail on there, you want to be probably wearing some magnifying glasses and getting close and clipping those all off by hand. But this part here is pretty robust and everything, so I'm just being kind of aggressive on this. But you can see how nice this stuff just snaps right off. And it really doesn't leave anything behind, you guys. I can see just a tiny little stub, and if you just go over that with your fingernail or whatever, that just takes that right off. Leaves a nice clean surface. Kind of start breaking up the main foot part there. And you're going to want to have a vacuum cleaner handy too, guys, because this stuff, one more thing you want to have here too is a good pair of tweezers for reaching in these little areas. These will get all over the place, you guys, and you'll start tracking them all over the house and everything. So whenever I'm done here and they're, you know, little right near me on the floor right here, that's when I take the opportunity to clean them up, because they're into everything. So far so good, you guys. Everything's going according to plan here. Okay, we got a couple more up in the very front in this little slot right here. That came right apart. We've got some more down in here. Now for this, you guys, I'm finding when I'm using the slicing system for these parts that I'm just, the way I showed you, I did it manually with the filament printer, because I really didn't, on that machine, the prints that you get with that, the parts don't come away as clean. I mean, the support trees don't come away as clean as they do on these resin printers. So if I let the machine or the program put in all the supports, it wants to put a lot of them on the outside of the model, and that's why I kind of manually went in there and did my own, and that way we don't get anything on the surface and I don't have a lot of cleanup to do. But with these, I'm finding that I'm just letting it do its thing, put the supports in wherever it wants to, and then kind of go look and see if you can see any spots that it might still need more supports, and then manually put those in. But that's a good way to avoid failed prints, you guys. The support thing is probably the biggest issue. Now this part is gorgeous, you guys. Let me show it to you here. I know it's white, so it's going to be kind of hard to see, but can you see the rivet detail on that? It's perfect. I mean, even these tiny little ones on these little segments in here. Okay, that is just absolutely beautiful. I love that. And it feels really solid, and yeah, this water washable resin seems to be working really good. Okay, so let's get this big pile of trees out of our way here, and we'll start working on some of these smaller parts. Seems a shame to waste all that resin, but it's a necessity for 3D printing, you guys, unfortunately. But that technology will probably continue to improve too. I have no doubt that somebody will invent some kind of a system that can print that, you know, it doesn't need any kind of supports. The machine can do that. It'll be able to print, you know, across a void or a vertical surface or horizontal surface like we talked about. Okay, so let's move that out of the way. Bring in one of our little, these are little vents, you guys, that's supposed to snap in here, and then these are supposed to be movable, and they look really nice. I mean, they look perfectly straight. So let's start getting some of these trees off of here. Let me see if the finger method will work on these too. I don't see anything on these that are super delicate looking. You see how I just broke that right off with my thumb? That is really slick. The little pegs that these sit in look like they're right on the money here, you guys. Let me now these were different ones. I'm sure they're different sizes. Looks like this one goes a little bit farther forward, possibly in this spot right here. Let me go ahead and make sure that that's the right one. They get bigger as they go towards the back. I think this is the smallest one, so I think we're in this spot right here, you guys. Let me try to snap it in place and find out what happens. It's not going to be easy. It's definitely not this one back here, because that's too big of a gap. actually did just kind of drop right in there. And look at that, you guys. By the time there's paint and everything in there, that's gonna really be cool. So you can display these either open or shut. That's really neat. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull that guy back out of there if we can. Now that it's in there, there we go. And move along here. Just looking for burrs, you guys, and they're easily popping right off and not even leaving a mark behind. Or if it is, you can only see it in a super magnifying glass. It looks perfectly clean to me. A lot of this too, the way your parts turn out, guys, has to do with the you have to give credit to the actual model maker themselves, their actual files that create these parts. The better job they do on that, the better that the parts overall are going to turn out. You can see the work that they put in with the level of detail and how lined up everything is and all that. It's a lot of work. It's an art form all in itself, for sure. These are beautiful, you guys. Wow, this is just awesome. This machine has not disappointed at all so far. I'm not seeing any styration lines or anything, you guys. These parts look really perfect. And the level of detail is amazing. Got one little one in between one of the grooves right there. I have to probably pick at that with the knife here a little bit. And gone it goes. Down to the last one. They come off so easy, even if I just bump them, they're just falling off, you guys. That is a good sign that your printer is dialed in. The only issue that I'm still dealing with is I believe it's still too hard. I think that those little islands that these are sitting on are being overcooked. That's what I'm coming to the conclusion of. I think I need to lower down my initial time on it curing that initial stage or whatever, and I'm sure there's a setting for that. If you guys are aware of something like that, please comment below. I'd appreciate it. Those of you that are experienced with this stuff. But I'll do some asking around, and yeah, the videos I'm watching, they're not having near that much trouble getting those off, so there's something I'm doing wrong. Okay, wow, that is fantastic, you guys. So let's just mock this up real quick for the heck of it. Now that I kind of got it figured out how it goes, I'll show you what it looks like. Of course, paint brings everything to life, like you saw with the little organ there. Let's see if we can figure out where these go here. We got, just go from bigger to smaller, it looks like. Okay, this is our very biggest one, so we're going to put that on back here. Seems like the trick to it is if you can get one side of it in first. This back one is right up against this wall. And let's avoid that one for now. I don't want to break the part, and I'm going to have to take this back apart anyway to paint it. So once these are painted and put back together, this will only be a one-time deal here. And I may have to do some fiddling around here. I don't want to take too many chances here yet, you guys. But yeah, they're difficult to snap in there, but once they get in there, they fit perfect. The tolerances are really tight. Make sure I do have the right one, too. It's the biggest. Next. Kind of close between these two. I think this one is right, though. We'll try it one more time here. I don't want to break anything on camera in front of you guys. I may have to fiddle around with these nubs a little bit and shave them down just a tiny little bit or something. But we know that we know it works. Try spreading it this way a little bit. There we go. That helped. All right, that one snapped right in. That one's actually got quite a bit, nice little bit of pressure on it, so it stays where you put it. Again, that'll all tighten up once we get this painted. Okay, I'd say this one will be next. Try to gets more difficult as you start putting these in. Oh, I cracked the corner of that one. That's not good. But we can glue that with some CA. That's the beauty of resin, you guys. These are very brittle parts, so you have to be careful. We'll take care of that. It didn't completely separate. Yeah, I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead, you guys. But you get the idea here. Okay, that's going to be really cool. And these can be, like I said, displayed either open or closed. Not many of the Nautilus models that you see have that extra little detail there, so that's another reason why I really honed in when I saw this kit, guys. Just beautiful. This designer did a fantastic job. Everything is super accurate. Again, here's a look at our Nemo's pipe organ. That's just really, really cool. There's a whole lot more furniture and everything like this that goes inside the salon. All the little couches, tables, and chairs. Just really neat details. The whole little specimen cabinet that he had kind of sitting in the middle of the room, all that's there. So I'll figure out how to get this all together, and you guys will see that a little bit later on. But we got a lot of painting and detailing to do, and a lot more printing to do, of course. But anyway, that's a general walkthrough of this whole thing, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, I hope a few of you out there that are watching that have been on the fence about this a little bit decide to make the leap, you know, just like I did. I was just at ground zero as you guys are, know nothing about this, and like I said, you know, there's plenty of support out here in the community. You can ask questions. There are plenty of videos. Hope this video helped you out a little bit. Again, I'm no expert. I got a long ways to go, but like I said, I'm kind of sticking to this formula of keeping everything a little on the conservative side. I don't care about my print speed being the fastest in the world, and that just kind of, you know, learning to work with these supports and everything. My goal is to try to have mostly successful prints. You know, you're always going to have that hiccup every once in a while, but things are looking pretty good so far, you guys. So we're into the world of resin printing as well. All right. Well, we'll be back probably about midweek with another update on the Enterprise refit. We had to actually slow down on that a little bit, guys. We had about a week and a half of really bad cold weather down here, wet, cold weather. And it got so bad you guys saw me make a drum video. I couldn't really do much painting or anything out here, even though I have heaters. It was still too cold, and we're really trying to do nice paint work on the refit, so I didn't even want to take any chances with that. But we'll be back with that probably about midweek or so, and then more on the Nomad that we're working on. Haven't forgot about him. So a lot of cool stuff happening, you guys, and of course some updates here and there coming for the Nautilus again. And it seems like you guys are really enjoying this one, so I know I am. This is a really fantastic model. And again, don't worry, you guys. We're never going to go away from regular modeling on the channel here. This is just a different phase. This will be popping in occasionally from now and then. You know, there are lots of really cool models out there, though, that you can't get from regular styrene kits, and that's another big reason why I wanted to get into it. There's some awesome subjects that I'm really fond of, and we'll definitely be looking into printing up some of those coming down the road. All right, we'll see you next time, everybody. Until we do, take care and happy modeling, everyone.